cells. We're going to talk about prokaryotic and eukaryotic, plants and animal cells, and cell theory. There's only two types of cells, prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. Prokaryotic versus eukaryotic. What's the difference?
On Earth, there are two major types of cells, prokaryotic and eukaryotic. Prokaryotic cells are the simplest and most ancient types of cells. They were the only form of life on Earth for billions of years before eventually giving rise to eukaryotic cells. If you take a look at prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells side by side, you can see a number of differences. To begin with, prokaryotic cells are a lot smaller than eukaryotic cells and have a simpler structure. But bear in mind that this simple structure is actually a good thing for prokaryotes because it allows them to reproduce very quickly and very effectively. If you were to look inside a prokaryotic cell, you would probably be surprised at how simple it is. For example, prokaryotic cells lack a nucleus. In fact, the name prokaryote actually gives you a hint about its structure. Kary means kernel or nucleus, and pro means before. So basically the word prokaryote means before nucleus. The inside of the prokaryotic cell is basically an open unit with no compartments. There are no membrane-bound organelles. However, small structures called ribosomes are scattered throughout its cytoplasm. The cell's DNA is located in a region of the cytoplasm called the nucleoid region. The nucleoid region is not the same thing as a nucleus because it's not enclosed by a membrane. Prokaryotes also have a cell wall that surrounds the plasma membrane. The composition of the cell wall depends on whether the cell is an archaean or a bacteria, but basically it consists of complex polysaccharides. Prokaryotes also often possess one or more flagella, which are used for movement. In contrast, eukaryotic cells contain a membrane-bound nucleus and other membrane-bound organelles. The name eukaryote also gives a hint about its structure. Eu means true, and remember that kary means nucleus, so in essence the word eukaryote means true nucleus. Eukaryotic cells are larger and much more complicated than prokaryotic cells. However, they do share a few things in common with prokaryotes. Let's take a look at a Venn diagram to compare prokaryotes to eukaryotes and to also see what areas they have in common. Let's start with their commonalities. Both prokaryotes and eukaryotes have DNA as their genetic material, have ribosomes, have cytoplasm, and have a plasma membrane. Now let's look at some of the ways they differ. Prokaryotic cells are the oldest type of cell. They're small and relatively simple. Eukaryotic cells evolved from prokaryotic cells later. They're larger and much more complex internally. Prokaryotes lack both a nucleus and membrane-bound organelles. Eukaryotic cells have a nucleus and also contain organelles. Prokaryotes are single-celled organisms. Eukaryotes can be either single-celled or multicellular. And finally, the DNA of a prokaryote is usually organized as a single circular chromosome, while the DNA of a eukaryote is organized as linear chromosomes.
What is this? Prokaryote or eukaryote? It's a prokaryote. The genetic material inside is not in a nucleus. What is this? Prokaryote or eukaryote? This is an animal cell. This is a plant cell. They are eukaryotes. They have a nucleus and other organelles. What is this? Prokaryote or eukaryote? Prokaryote. The DNA is not enclosed in a membrane. Plant cell versus animal cell. What's the difference? In plant cells, there's a large vacuole that stores a lot of water in each cell. There are few mitochondria because plant cells don't use as much energy. They have chloroplast. Inside the chloroplast is green chlorophyll. The green chlorophyll absorbs sunlight so it can do photosynthesis. Plant cells also have cell walls. They protect the cell. Animal cells have no cell wall and no chloroplast. Animal cells have many mitochondria. Animal cells also have many vacuoles, many small vacuoles. Plant or animal cell? Small vacuoles. Animal cell. We can go drink water whenever we want and fill up our vacuoles. Cell wall. Plants. Plant cells need protection. Plants can't get out of the way if something were to squish it, so it has to stay in place and be protected. Many mitochondria. Mitochondria releases energy. Animal cells have many mitochondria because animals use a lot of energy. Large vacuole. Vacuoles store water. Plants need a large vacuole because they don't know when the next time it's going to rain or they're going to get watered, so they need to hold on to their water. Chloroplast. Plants have chloroplast. They need to make their own food. Nucleus. This is where the DNA and the genetic material is stored. Plants have DNA and animals have DNA. They pass down to their offspring. Cytoplasm, the gel-like substance inside of every cell. Plants have them and animal cells have them. Now a refresher on cell theory. What are the 4 parts of cell theory? All living things are composed of cells, so that means everything that's living is made of cells. It's either made up of one cell or it's made up of many different types of cells. Like humans have many different types of cells. Cells are the basic unit of structure and function in living things. That means every cell has everything it needs to live on its own. New cells are produced from existing cells. That means every cell comes from a cell. Cells obtain energy from the environment and use it for cell functions. The cell takes in energy so the cell can do its job.